Hey, it's philzGoodMan, and if you guys are wondering where I've been, unfortunately I was infected by the real life version of the disease that Krunkitis is based off of, and that's COVID. So the month of October definitely had its ups and downs for me. Just got married, so I was really enjoying that, and then all of a sudden I ended up getting sick. So I want to share with you guys my story just in case it might help some of you or you might find it interesting. Coronavirus is definitely not going to be going away anytime soon, especially here in America. But anyways, basically 10 days ago, I started feeling sick. And I should say that, as you guys could imagine, I'm very careful about everything. So I don't leave the house that much unless I have to. And always wear a mask. So actually, I do not know where I got it. And I think more and more it's going to be just really hard for people to know the source of COVID, but that will depend on which country you're from. In America, it's just basically going to become impossible to do contact tracing, but if you're in a place like Taiwan, that's a country that just has a handful of COVID cases and has tracked pretty much all of them. But the thing that really got me concerned was just having chills and like a slight fever, because then it could be something serious. So I went and got tested the next day. With the testing, you don't get your results right away. So went home and started feeling even worse. Next day, I basically lost my sense of taste. So first, food started tasting different, and then it started to not have much taste at all. So it was actually really tough to eat. But that to me was like the sign that I probably have COVID and not something like the flu. And also I had gotten the flu shot a few weeks before that. So that was last Friday, about 9 days ago. And then the next few days were kind of a blur because it was really tough. I never experienced a disease like that before. It kind of felt like having a cold, the flu, and then a hangover all at the same time. But this disease is really weird because the way it works is like the symptoms were kind of weaving in and out. So sometimes I'll have like one symptom that's the worst one to deal with, and then another one comes and takes its place. So starting off, the thing that was really hard was the chills and muscle aches. So I just couldn't get warm and my muscles hurt all the time. And then later the headache took its place, and I was just dealing with this really painful headache that just wouldn't go away, and it would just last for like, I think, 3 days. In terms of treatment, I just stayed at home. My wife and I self-isolated, and she did a really great job helping take care of me. First few days were definitely the hardest, like the first 3, and I had trouble sleeping, so the pain kept me up. And then after that, so like starting 5 days ago or so, I was just sleeping a lot. My parents were also really helpful in dropping off food, and eating was also just really challenging. So it was helpful because they dropped off like soups and stuff like that. It was just really hard because I didn't have much taste at all. Somewhere in the middle of my recovery, I also got like a new symptom, and it was like a rash, kind of a hives-like rash. So I just was really itchy. But starting this past Tuesday or maybe Wednesday, started the recovery process. So the first thing to really improve was no longer having a fever and no longer having chills. So that really did help. I felt a lot more normal, but I still had that headache, that persistent headache. I was still pretty much sleeping all day and trying to distract myself. I was watching this Netflix show about F1 racing. That was something good to get into while having COVID. And then just this past Friday is when I started to regain my taste. So that was really great. Still hard to eat because my throat. And also I started to cough up a lot, and my body was just expelling stuff, which was good. Unfortunately, I had 2 days of insomnia where I only slept like 4 hours total maybe, because of this weird like tingling feeling, just like left over from the disease. So I got a full night's rest last night, and now we're here today, and that's where I'm at. So just fingers crossed. Hopefully there's no more complications, and for most healthy people, it should be like this. From the time that symptoms started to show up until now, it's been 10 days. So now I'm gonna be giving you guys some tips in terms of how to cope with COVID if you do end up getting it. This is no replacement for your doctor or whatever official guidelines of your country are, but I think it's really important for people to talk about the recovery process hopefully it's helpful to some people because the focus by the media has mainly been on prevention and not about what to do when you actually have it. And just given the state of things in America, it's gonna get a whole lot worse. So to start things off with tip number one is if you do end up getting it or you suspect that you have it, basically do not wait to self-isolate. Just make sure that if you start self-isolating immediately, if you're living with your family, it's really important. Even if you think that you've exposed them already, that's okay because the amount of exposure matters too. Actually, I'm gonna back up for a bit and just in terms of the preparedness, so let's say you don't have it and hopefully it'll stay that way. But it is good to just be in touch with your doctor, your primary care physician, and then also just have the necessary supplies in case it does happen. More on that later. Next is a testing aspect of it, and this one is tricky just because if you test too early, basically the test is not going to be able to pick up COVID. But if you wait too long, then you're going to be in the thick of the disease, and you really don't want to be waiting for those test results. You should be starting your recovery process already. So I think it's more important just to contact your doctor and have them advise you in terms of how you should handle the testing. If you don't have a doctor, don't have healthcare, if you can do it in a way that doesn't expose others, maybe just get tested like 2 to 3 days after symptoms start. But during this time, just act like you have it to avoid spreading the disease to others, because I think over 50% of infections are from asymptomatic people, and 1/5 of people, they never end up developing symptoms. For me, the first 3 days are kind of like a window because I had time to just prepare a little bit. Obviously, you don't want to go out shopping. I had my wife helping me out, which was huge. But if you could like order stuff on Amazon, if you have that in your country, or just get someone to drop stuff off. I think at this point, it is helpful to alert some people that you suspect that you have it, but I wouldn't tell too many people because it does take time just like corresponding with them, going back and forth. And that takes a lot of energy. Of course, if you could have exposed anyone, you should definitely let them know. Basically, I put together like a COVID kit with essentials. There are not antiviral treatments for when you have this disease, not yet at least. So I was just taking like recommended like vitamins and stuff like that. Of course, again, check with your doctor, but what I was taking was vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, stuff like that, and drinking emergency, and then electrolyte powder mixed with water, and then ibuprofen and acetaminophen. The thing that was super helpful for me was buying something called a pulse oximeter. It was just $12, and you just put it on your finger and it measures the amount of oxygen that's in your blood. Since the major complications with COVID relate to breathing, this device helps to detect any potential issues ahead of time if the blood oxygen level is too low. So it's mainly for peace of mind, but I did find it to be very helpful. So if you live in America or other high COVID risk countries, I think it would be wise to kind of put together a kit ahead of time. And not saying no one should ever try to get COVID, let me be clear. So I hope that you guys found this video to be interesting or helpful, and I really hope you guys do not get it. Fingers crossed that I can get back to a normal upload schedule again of 1 video per week. Thank you guys so much for watching and hearing my story. Please subscribe, use code PHILZ, and I'll see you guys next time.